So we're going to talk about building community through social media today. Before we get started, a little bit about me, because I'm your guest speaker today. I am in fact not Jackson. So I am new to the Las Vegas area. I've been out here about a year. I own a marketing firm called MXN Creative. We specialize in e-commerce, but we kind of work across this the spectrum. I've got clients that are in alcohol. I've got wellness clients. I've got, a DJ that I work with very closely. A little bit about what my company does. I like to say we're all in-house. We do strategic growth and outreach, which means we use branding, microinfluencer marketing, whether that's creating directories and sending out 1,000 emails a day, whatever it takes to get clients to the business. I have a background in marketing, PR, and advertising. I'm currently finishing my MBA, so that's a little bit about me. As you can tell, I have done this topic before. So today's mission, I want to teach you about the 3 pillars that it takes to build a community online. I think in today's world, we're more connected than ever, but more disconnected than ever. And people are always searching for community and a way to feel like they've found that. With AI, with Twitter, Instagram, all of this, your head can kind of spin with how do I get my clients or myself to where I want to go. So my 3 pillars, we've got engagement, value, and authenticity. We're going to talk about all of those. And then we're actually going to talk about how to create that. So to start, can you guys share one memorable online networking experience that you've had? Also, I will call on you. We like participation in here. You guys can just talk. You don't have to raise your hand or anything. Yeah. Whether that's... Go. Whoever wants to start.
I like to watch Chinese drama, especially wuxia, the martial artists. Yes. Sometimes I follow the Chinese actors, and sometimes when they produce new movie or film, whatever they produce, the company starts promoting, and I always send them hearts and upload them, and it's so touching when they reply. And send me personal reply in English saying so much, thank you so much for your red hearts.
Yes.
It's very sweet.
Absolutely.
I love that because wuxia is amazing. Mm-hmm. Which films do you like? I just want to know.
I watch all of them.
All of them, okay.
Whatever they on Amazon Prime.
Similar for me. So there's different music composers that for film that I'll listen to their music and it touch me. And so I'll find out who they are and then I'll write them on Twitter and I'll reply often. And then last night I replied to something Conor McGregor said and he liked my reply, so I was like, that's cool.
Yeah. Anybody else? Anybody else? I'll take one more.
Did we say networking experience? Do you want to do
You can do networking. You can do just really any time a brand is engaged with you as well.
There's a creator or author, who does different things podcast that has his own community, I guess. He does if you pay to be a part of the community, he has classes that he does weekly and different networking things like that. That I thought was a really big person and wanted to potentially learn from. So I joined the community and I thought that was really good. And it was kind of cool because it was not very many people that wanted to pay for it, so there was maybe 20 or so people inside, and then you get one-on-one FaceTime with people that have done things you want to do. So that's
and that's huge. All right. So from there, we're going to jump in. So what is the role of social media in community building? So I think a lot of what you guys have talked about right now, there's either a shared goal or common interest, right? So if you're talking to all of the creators, I'm assuming all the people that signed up, you guys all had something in common that you were able to discuss that built a continued community. You can create a support network. So maybe you responded to one of your composers and somebody else responded and, felt the same way. So, you can have engaging conversations based on that. Collaboration, I can't tell you how many times, you see all these influencers collaborating together online, or maybe, I've gotten so much business just off commenting on other, creators' marketing profiles and things like that. So I think that's a huge, huge piece. So we're gonna dive in even deeper into engagement. So this is pillar 1. So what are the key strategies that we can use here? 1, interactive content. You can do polls, QA sessions, live streams, and then contests to encourage follower interaction. One of the great examples of this is the hashtag Red Cup contest that Starbucks uses. They do creative photos of their holiday cups, generating thousands of user submissions. Another thing about Starbucks, I don't know if a lot of people know this, they actually have you write the names wrong on the cup when you work there so that people take photos of it, and it creates online engagement. Just like little things like that. Prompt responses. So when you have, Conor McGregor liking your comment or commenting back, it makes you feel important, and that's what you're trying to do. That, especially with us feeling so distant from community when you're online or you're at home, just a little touch of that with your brands, or whether you're trying to grow your own social platforms, can make people feel welcomed and want to continue to engage with your content. A great example of this is Wendy's Twitter account. I don't know if anybody's seen any of that. I've got a few examples in a second, so we'll get there. Collaborations, brands who partner with influencers. You've got Gymshark collaborating with fitness influencers to promote their products. You've got so many, I don't know if anybody knows who Andy Frisella is, who does 75 Hard with First Form. They do a ton with fitness influencers. That's a huge, huge thing. So not only are you promoting a healthy lifestyle, you're also creating this connection with fitness and the brand. All right, so little statistics. Posts with interactive content tend to receive 2 times more engagement than static posts. And 83% of consumers appreciate when brands respond to questions and comments on social media. I think there's a really big push nowadays. I know we were just talking about TikTok, but when things go wrong on airlines or flight issues, anything, you can take to social media and complain about a brand. And if they don't respond, it can cause huge issues nowadays for brands. So a little bit of the benefits: you're gonna enhance your brand visibility, build relationships with the audience, and then encourage user-generated content. So a little bit about Wendy's. I don't know if anybody's seen any of this yet. Wendy's is, like, in my opinion, one of the brands that does breaking that fourth wall the best. They're funny. They don't care whether you care about their image, but it does get you talking about them. My personal favorite. I was like, this cracked me up. All right. What does it say? Yeah, can I get a stable relationship? If you're asking a fast food restaurant, you might have a few ways to go. I was like, here we are. Wendy's does a really, really great job of continuing to engage online. I think they got into a argument with Arby's and Hardee's. Like, they're calling everybody out on Twitter. Well, X, sorry. All right. So what is a brand other than Wendy's, because we just went over that you believe does a great job of engaging with its customers? Anybody?
I mean, I follow a small brand from San Diego. It's called the Long Hairs.
Yeah.
They kind of do like Wendy's, but they're also the owners and the founders and the people that work for them make very personal posts about their lives, and they also engage very readily.
Yeah.
Negative comments on there, and they put them on display and show how they respond.
Right. Just to touch on that topic, obviously every brand's going to get negative comments at some time. That's just, a byproduct of going viral. How do you guys believe brands should engage with negative comments? Do you believe they should delete them? Do you believe they should respond and acknowledge them? That's, I would say, do you want to start up here?
So I've done a lot of work with mobile apps, and I think it's only been in the last few years that the Apple App Store, that the brand or the person, whoever created the app, can actually respond to the reviews.
Yeah.
and it used to be there's no way to interact. And I think the companies that read the reviews, this is a little different maybe than Twitter, but and incorporate the feedback in their next updates, and then tell them thank you, you know, thank you for your feedback, even if it's like this app sucks, you know. Yeah. It's like we're working on it, and then if the person sees that you fixed it, then it's like you can convert that person from someone who's dissatisfied to someone who's like, this is amazing. Right, because we're all looking for acknowledgement.
I guess, what would you recommend, like, brands do? Because, like, a corporate brand is very different than, like, a personal brand.
Yes, absolutely.
So, you know, I think that's, like...
Right. So, if I was doing a personal brand, I personally would just leave it and not acknowledge it. I think you open yourself up for a lot of personal attacks in that, especially for, you know, influencers who are posting their lives. You're opening yourself up, and personally, I think in that moment, you need to be the bigger person and just leave it. I don't think you need to necessarily delete it. I think it just shows that you're able to acknowledge it. You know, again, it comes down to, is it a huge controversy though? Because in that case, you might want to make a response video. But for corporations, I think it's extremely important to have that transparency, acknowledge why people are feeling some type of way about what's going on, and then build from that. I think it builds a lot more customer credibility that way.
If you leave it alone, someone will comment on the comment.
Exactly. You're opening yourself up to, you know, the snake pit, essentially.
I work for a law firm. Very occasionally, maybe 1 to 30 positive reviews. We get negative review. So one way you can send to Google a special form asking to remove this review, because if people start to use like dirty words, bad language, they will remove it automatically. Right. And sometimes it only replies, very reasonable, writes in reply, and sometimes we really ignore it and just go with our life because there's nothing you can do. But you can send an email to Google directly.
Yeah. Absolutely. Did you have something to say?
No, yeah, we respond to pretty much everything. Also when it's negative, and depending on the context, we respond with humor because of the absolute sheer of what they say. But if it's a true, genuine concern, we will. And if it's something misogynistic or racist, we delete it. That's exactly what I recommend people do. There's no reason to leave crass language up, but there's also no reason to go deleting every negative comment, because then you're like, you can't satisfy everybody. No matter how hard you try, that's not the end goal. Especially when you're trying to build a community, you're trying to be authentic, real, honest. And if you're not able to acknowledge where maybe you flustered or where you didn't cater to somebody's needs exactly, I think that builds a lot of credibility, not only in people, but in brands. All right. Anyone have anything else to add to this before we move on to pillar 2? Cool. Pillar 2, add value. Everything in life should be about value, whether that's your relationships, whether that's the brands that you're partnering with, because at the end of the day, you are buying into a brand's value, and you're buying into as little as you like to think about that, your purchases tell who you are. Does anybody disagree with that? You know, at the end of the day, we're a culmination of everything that we do. As a brand, you need to learn to convey that value, because if you're not adding value, you're probably not going to get too far. So let's talk a little bit about how you can add value. You can share tips, tutorials, and industry insights. I think one person who really does a fantastic job of this is Gary Vee. I know he's a very controversial figure, but he does a really great job of adding value and hooking you and then selling you, rather than I'm going to come out, I could come up here right now, I'm going to sales pitch you for the next hour. You would get nothing out of that.
What does Gary Vee sell?
He sells marketing courses and books, yeah. Yeah, I've read a couple of his books. They're interesting. Like, he's got one called Jab, Jab, Hook. It's about give him a taste, and then you hook him with the sale.
Yeah, I know VaynerMedia and
yeah.
that, but I just didn't know that they sold it.
Yeah, he does. But see, that's actually a really great comment because maybe he's not doing a good enough job of selling. But yeah.
Just on that topic of value. So
Yes.
how do you think about like trends that, especially ones oftentimes these days they rise really fast and then they go away,
Yeah.
versus just that evergreen value of like a brand like Nike or something that's been around longer,
Right.
like their messaging, and then how does someone like that also take advantage of trends too?
So it's funny you say that. We've got a nice little case study from Nike here in a second. Nike does a really great job of using a multifaceted approach. Not only do they use, they use the fitness influencers to influence you to buy the product, but they also share real aspirational stories. While hopping on trends, if there's a trending song on TikTok, you bet they're using that as well. So I think there's a way, like marketing will never be a 1D approach. You're able to approach it from different angles and provide value in different ways. So there's nothing wrong, as long as it's consistent, actually though. Like if Nike was to come out today and like have a video, I don't even know what the trend, like have a dancing video trend on TikTok, you guys would be like, okay, maybe I might question that because it's not aligning with everything else I'm seeing about you. But there's a lot of really cool trends that do come and go that are, in line with their brand. But then also at some point you have to look at what works for them may not work for a smaller business. Some businesses rely on the trends. Like it kind of just, you have to figure out what works for your platform. Anybody have any questions on that? All right. So exclusive access. Instagram's got that beautiful subscription feature that you're able to use. You can offer special discounts. Sephora's Beauty Insider program, I am a proud member of. The more you spend, the more discounts you get. That definitely hooked me because, I'm a girl, I like my makeup. You get exclusive promotions. They do a really great job of adding value and making you feel special for shopping with them. You're getting free things in the mail. They do an absolutely amazing job of that. You're also trying to create a supportive environment. Peloton does a great example of this with their leaderboards. They're creating a space for members to feel supported, heard, and appreciated. And whether you're doing that whether you're at home or in a spin class, you can still feel that kind of community engagement. Anybody have any questions on this slide?
So with the
Yeah.
with the supportive environment,
Yeah.
Can you give an example?
Yeah, absolutely. So this would be something that I would say could go more for like a Reddit, a LinkedIn, maybe a Twitter with the Twitter spaces, but you can create, so you were talking about the show that you like to watch. You can create, like let's say we're talking about that brand specifically. You can create like a Reddit board or you can create a Twitter space to bring people in, start using hashtags and start to, engage in community conversations and let people feel comfortable in that. And that's where you go right back to engagement. You have to be engaging with every comment. You have to be furthering the conversation. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, so it's an invitation to
Yes.
have people connect.
Yes. And the thing is, as a brand, that's where you have to take that step forward and say, I'm going to be the leader here and I'm going to lead people into this aspect. Any questions there? Does that answer your question? Great. All right, so 91% of consumers are more likely to shop with brands that provide relevant offers and recommendations. And 61% of people are more likely to engage with brands that share valuable and relevant content. I don't know what your guys' For You pages look like, but for me, I'm always looking for new ways to market for my clients. I'm always looking for new ways to add value to my clients. So for me, I'm always engaging or buying courses of people that are creating content. I don't buy Gary Vee, he's a good example, but the content that he posts makes me interested to learn more from him. So if you're able to do that, if you're able to add just enough value that people want to hear more, or the creator that you were talking about that hosts the seminars where everybody comes in, you've done a great job of fostering that community.
Question on providing like how much, if you were to look at like content, right? Piece of content, how much content is just like value versus like the offer, right? Or like
Yeah.
to like your product, your store, whatever.
Right. So, okay, we can talk about this in a few different industries, right? So for a product, let's say we're doing this will be relevant later, a nutrition gummy, right? So you're not just gonna come out and like be like, buy this gummy, and that's like the whole marketing, right? You want to talk about why is this something that you want to take? Why is this the vitamin for you? What are the benefits from it? Then sales pitch. You need to provide that. So products are sometimes a tiny bit easier in that aspect versus, okay, you've got a lawyer who's trying to sell a course. They need to be creating a different style of content where they're teaching about what they're an expert in and then hooking you to the point where they're giving you just a little bit of information. Like they might give you the pillars that I'm giving you today, but they're not going to give you the how. And that's where you come in with your sales pitch. But you don't want to be, like you don't want your entire grid to be, I'm just going to sell and sell and sell and sell on every single post. You do want to create that brand identity. And what, like, in 2 seconds, what's Nike's slogan?
Just do it.
Right, and it's always going to stick in your head. And that totally aligns with their brand, their mission, and everything they have to sell. You need to create that identity where you can just, like, snap of a finger, like, oh, that brand, I know what they stand for, and I know what value they add, and they don't try to sell me every 2 seconds. But also, you can do things where you can create interesting creative videos, but you can just do paid ads. So you kind of have to find the right balance. Any questions on that? Okay, I just realized we'll come back to the Nike social media strategy. I totally just realized I didn't hotspot my computer. All right, can you give me an example of a brand that adds value to your life? And in what way? You can think about it.
When you say the brand, you mean like the brand and not the product that the brand offers?
Brand / product. You can go either way.
Colgate,
Colgate, why?
because it makes my breath smell a little bit better.
Why do you pick Colgate over Crest?
It's usually cheaper.
Okay, that's a good way to do it. Anybody else have another one?
Sprouts.
Sprouts. Why do you go to Sprouts over Whole Foods?
It's cheaper than Whole Foods, better selection, I think.
Yeah, okay. So,
I just feel like special. If I go there versus just a average grocery store, I feel that I'm gonna lead with healthy food. So it fits my lifestyle.
So they've created an aspect where you feel almost like it's a farmer's market, like I'm a big Sprouts fan. And you feel like you're getting top quality because of the environment, right? So I think we've got Fresh Thyme, you've got so many other, brands that try to do the same thing. But that's where that brand identity comes into place. Anybody have another one? One more before I call on somebody.
Well, as I said, I like to watch Russian movies, and the company, which very big film studios in China, I think this is how they pronounce it. I really love the way they promote new films on Instagram, like 2-3 months before film is released. They start interviewing actors. The actors create short videos. They start celebrating actors' birthday on Instagram. They create these buzz, so you can't wait until film will finally release. And then, of course, jump and start watching. They do it very nicely. I'm a digital marketer too, so I always watch it and think learn from them how they do it. They don't push, they just create so much fun, so much engagement. It's really a positive way to promote film.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I see it on Instagram.
Yeah, I think Instagram is one of those big tools. Instagram and TikTok are really where it's at for creating that brand recognition and identity. And you have to create communities on there. Like, here's what I'll ask you guys. So let's take toothpaste. You've got Colgate, you've got a new company that's just coming up. They're in the stores. One looks like it's, let's say they're the same price, because I know that was your difference. What's gonna make you pick Colgate over the other brand?
A coupon.
Product design. But let's say, okay, you look at this one, it looks new. You go to Instagram to look it up, and there's no social media presence. You're not gonna buy that brand. Sorry to say it. Like, I'd be like, is like, what's in this? Like, it's unknown, it's unrecognizable. It's almost the same, and it's a competitor, but it's not competing. So
some customers are price sensitive, and then others are not.
Yes.
And sometimes the same person can be price sensitive in one area and then not in another. So like toothpaste to me is one of those things that, like, I'm used to now paying $9 or $10 for toothpaste, which is crazy. I never would have done that in the past, but I like Tom's.
Yeah.
Because it's like all natural, you can get it without fluoride, there's just things
Right.
like that. Less ingredients in it, so I don't mind paying extra for me and my kids. But like on other things, like price is a differentiator. So
Yeah.
I think it just depends on
Right.
what what that type of customer values the most.
Yes. And that's where you need to understand as a brand your demographic. So if it is, let's say, this new toothpaste brand let's say it's an all organic brand, and your target customer is people who, care about their health and like care about like not having fluoride in their toothpaste or things like that, because that's like what you value the most. That's going to be the brand you pick. So you need to create that identity online, and that's the value you have to add as a brand. So you need to be able to convey that clearly online, and you can build a community around that as well. Anyone have anything else to add to this one before we move on?
You mentioned products, but how about services?
Yeah.
How do you apply the same rules on services?
Services are very different. So, somebody, I was talking to my mom. This was like literally 2 days ago. I was like, yeah, I'm looking to expand the company. She goes, well, run an ad. I go, what? She goes, run an ad online. I go, let's be real. I don't think any of you guys would hire a consulting firm if they had an ad on Instagram. Like, that's not how you reach your target market. How I reach my target market, has to be through communities, through my personal thing. So maybe I'm getting on LinkedIn and I'm responding to comments from people, or I'm engaging and sharing articles. LinkedIn is a really great way to promote services. I wouldn't recommend going to Instagram for services unless you're looking at something like a wellness clinic, which then you can create ads in that ad space. You can create funny TikToks, you can hop on trends. Other services, lash services, girls love getting their eyelashes done. Really great to promote that online. Go ahead.
Do you think that now that, because we've transitioned into the age of the influencer, and then now anyone can be an influencer, that celebrity endorsements are as effective?
That's a very interesting question. I do. I think there are people who are diehard for celebrities.
Yeah.
And, if Taylor Swift says, buy this toothpaste, guess that toothpaste is going to be gone
But
tomorrow.
like outside of like the top,
Yeah.
whatever 1%
Yeah.
of celebrities, because everyone loves them. But like the next tier down, like are they quite as effective as they used to be?
Yes.
Okay.
Honestly, I always like to say you're only as big as the people who support you, and they are getting booked for a reason. It may not be the sheer level, but you're still gonna push sales. Like, how many people in here know who Alex Earl is? Exactly, but she was in 4 Super Bowl ads. Yeah, I was like, she's one of the top influencers on TikTok right now, but that doesn't mean she caters to every single demographic. But I bet you right now she's got a burger at Hardee's right now. It's sold out like in 2 days. So
Anybody with an audience is If you look at it like, there's like a bunch of people, if you're on TikTok or whatever, you'll see somebody walk into a restaurant, order food or whatever, and they're promoting it. It's like, you might have never heard of that person, but if you go to their TikTok and you see that this is what they do and you watch a few of their videos, you're like, okay, I trust this person. They know food. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
just some random person, but.
Keith Lee out here.
Exactly. You can have a Keith Lee or you can have somebody.
Keith Lee approved.
So I guess like in that area, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
I think, like there are two different things, right? How would you consider brand awareness versus trying to get leads or customers, right? So they think,
Yeah.
you know, big brands have money to spend to just make sure people know Colgate, right?
Yes.
And I think that's like I said,
Yeah.
things. How should we consider awareness?
Okay. So one of the things, actually, that's a great segue. One of the things I really like to do, so obviously, and you said this very, very well, if somebody has an audience, they have value. One of the things that I think has worked really well for small brands I've worked with is using micro-influencers. You don't need to be a big time, have, 30 bajillion followers, right? Having people who have, you've got your friends online, I'm sure. If you came out and you were like, I really care about this toothpaste and this is a great toothpaste, I bet you a few of your friends would go buy that toothpaste. Not only that, that brand creating that community or that sense of I would love to gift you some free product in exchange for a social media post. That makes you feel kind of special, doesn't it? I remember the first time someone reached out to me, I was like, little old me, I get something free. So I posted about it like a million times and then they started paying me to post it. But they didn't ask me to do that at first. But I can tell you right now, I don't know if anyone's heard of Nero Gum. I'm obsessed with it. I posted it, now 50 of my other friends use it. Half of my office used to use it because I used to just go around and pop it on people's desks. So I may not have 30,000 followers, but I do have credibility, at least in my circles. So you can utilize that to your advantage. I mean, some people may still ask for money, some may not, but you can build a community of micro-influencers, which I've found works really, really well for product, wellnesses, and services.
That brings up a very interesting concept that of my girls, they're
Yeah.
got two kids that are in their early 20s and they're highly networked.
Yes.
So if I go to my friends who are my age, they will not care.
Right.
Unless it's a cool car or something. But with my daughters, because their friends are always talking to each other all day, every day. If you can reach one person in that tightly knit group, it spreads faster.
Yeah. Because here's the thing, all we're trying to do is emulate the communities we already have online. So if you can tap into those markets, you're already doing yourself a favor. So let's go back, since we're really on toothpaste today, we've got Colgate, we've got this new brand. So maybe their social media presence isn't great, but let's say I hand you guys all a few months worth of that free toothpaste and you love it.
Sign me up.
No coupon needed. And you really like it. Are you gonna tell some of your friends about that? What? I know my friends and I are we're always wow, you should go try this. We all use all the same products at this point. So that's the thing is, it doesn't need to be these massive, massive brand campaigns. You can build awareness and you can build credibility very slowly with less resources. I've worked for a few startups. I used to do a tequila brand, right? Let me tell you, just shipping people bottles of tequila, they love you. And they love you for a long time.
That's true.
At least I know.
And you're maybe losing a little bit of money in product, but you're gaining a whole new audience that will continue to come back to your brand. And that's what we want. We want repeat customers.
But that's a much less expensive method than trying to find a celebrity and paying them $2 million.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. And you know what? It just depends on budget. So that's it. There's no right or wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
I know though, if I buy one product and I do actually work with a nutrition gummy. I know if I just put $100,000 in and I just hand it to somebody and I set up the social media, guaranteed success because somebody endorsed it, but that's not an option because that's not in the budget. So you have to work with what you've got. I wish I had a $100,000 budget to make my day a lot easier.
I just came from another event at 11 o'clock who have your money, and the guy said that his business made over $1 million in revenue, but half of the budget, half of $1 million he spends every year on advertisement. Half of whatever he makes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure everyone's seen the Demopolis law firm billboards everywhere. I know if I need a lawyer who I'm going to call, because I probably wouldn't even have to Google it. It's like outside my apartment all day, every day. You can't escape it.
That is interesting that billboards seem to still have so much authority. Because it's old school. I think that's one of the things is Instagram, TikTok. Of course you have to be there, but like some of the old school marketing still works.
Oh, absolutely. And I know we're not really talking about that today, but I like to utilize a lot of guerrilla marketing methods. Flyering still works. Handing out free products still works. Billboards get more eyes on it than social media ever will. You're talking about 300 million online. You're going to get that in like a few weeks on a billboard. So it's having clear, concise billboards for services is actually a really great way to go. But let's talk about pillar 3, because I love that we're having a great conversation, but I'm going to run out of time, shockingly. Authenticity. None of this matters if you're trying to be something you're not. Like, I could come in here like all sports pro and try to convince you guys. That's not convincing any of you. That's not going to make you value. I'm not adding value to you. I just cheer when my team wins. Like, I don't know what's going on. That's like all I know. It's like, okay, there's a goal, there's a touchdown. So am I the person you're gonna take advice from on sports betting? Absolutely not. So I'm not adding value to you if I'm not being authentic to myself. So how do you do that? Transparent communication. This goes back to talking about negative comments. You wanna be honest about your brand's journey, successes, and challenges. I know there's been a shift, but with social media, everyone likes to think it's a highlight reel. It's not. Like, everyone's got good days, everyone's got bad days, and if you're only posting the highlights, you're really losing a huge target segment. I used to be one of those people, I'm like, I can't post. Like, if I'm having a bad day, I'm like, I just cried into a bowl of cereal because I'm really stressed out. And people are like, wow, that's relatable. Because we all have bad days. Relatable content, you can share personal stories, user testimonials, and behind the scene moments. Behind the scenes always works out great. Like, you give people a little bit of a taste of what's coming, and you continue to push that. Nike does a really great job with having user stories and, posting aspirational things like people who've overcome a lot. I think that's a really, really great thing and is very motivational. And then consistent branding. Like, if one day it's like, just do it, and the next day it's don't do it, like, you're not gonna know what's going on. You looked like you had something to say. Okay. Okay, cool. Not to call you out. All right. Statistics. 86% of consumers say authenticity is a key factor when deciding which brands they like and support. How many of you guys can agree with that? Brands that are transparent on social media see a 30% increase in customer loyalty. I just saw a very interesting, I guess it was an influencer. She's coming out with some like clothing brand, and there was an issue with the labeling, and somebody called her out for it. I guess like it said it was one fabric, it wasn't. She charged a price. So rather than like pretend like that wasn't happening, she came out, she talked exactly about what happened, why it happened, and how she was going to rectify that situation. She sold out the next day. So being transparent is so much more important than just being like, I'm gonna deal with it in the background. All right. So, what is a brand that you perceive to be authentic and aligns with its brand values? We're just gonna do a couple of them. Anybody? Give me one, give me two.
There was a big thing with, I think it was Ben & Jerry's recently. They're very, future thinking. I'm trying to be
Yeah.
politically not offend anybody,
Yeah.
They basically put out a campaign saying like what we stand for, what we don't stand for, and it pissed off a whole lot of people on one side, and they knew it would, but they also were like, everybody that's on the opposite side was like, this is the only ice cream that I'm eating. And it's, it's not even an ice cream thing, it's more of they align with who I am and what I believe in, and I'm going to go with my dollar.
Yeah. And, and we talked about this a little while ago, you don't have to get everybody to like you. That is not the goal. The goal is to create customer loyalty for the people that are your demographic. And you can piss off a lot of people, and it is a free country, you can believe what you want, but whether I agree with them or not, I think that was very brave on their part and didn't backfire as bad as it could have. Anybody else?
Trump and his campaign, I think he's super consistent and authentic with his beliefs, and everything, like I said, he's very consistent. I don't think everyone likes him, to be expected, right? But, he doesn't waver, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's like one of the things I hoped him get that presidency.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so we're going to get into the how. We're going to kind of skim through these because I talked a lot longer than I thought I was going to, guys. I'm a little chatty. All right, so how to create authenticity and consistency. You're going to be genuine. You're going to share your stories, values, and experiences to connect with your audience. You want to be relatable. Every brand needs to be relatable. You're going to maintain a consistent voice across platforms and develop a recognizable style across all platforms. Again, Nike is known for their very artistic, sporty videos. They did that beautiful ballet piece. That they're going to bring in athletes and it's going to be a production. So if they started doing little TikTok dances, you would be confused. So be consistent, come up with your style, and then have a regular posting schedule. You need to be posting. That maybe not so much for service-based industries, but for products, you need to be consistent. Content calendars are great. AI can do all of that for you now, and you should really be utilizing it. How to provide value. Educational content. Share tips, tutorials, and industry insights. Maybe you're sharing articles about things that are relevant to what you're doing. Maybe you're showing people how to put lashes on, or you're showing how you do someone's nails. Interactive content. You can use polls, QA sessions, and live videos. There's a lot of people who live stream and then they answer questions while they're doing someone's nails or something if people have questions. User-generated content. This is great if you've got a budget because it's almost like using the microinfluencers, but you can go a little bit more mid-tier with those, pay them to have a slightly larger, you're looking at that 50,000 to 200K range because they won't charge you out the ass, excuse my language, but they will have a larger reach. How to build relationships through engagement. Collaborate with others. This isn't gonna work if you're not responding, if you're not engaging. A little trick, if you go comment on a bunch of people's posts that are similar, let's say you are doing that nutrition brand, and you go engage with other nutrition brands, it will boost your posting. Join conversations, Reddit, Discord, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook groups. There's so many places for you to be able to have conversations about what you're doing and why. There's Facebook groups that have hundreds of thousands of people, and they're usually very centered on topics, and people are very, very active in them. So utilize that. Big one. I have people that I work with that don't do this. Reply to your comments. It takes 2 seconds. You felt great when somebody responded to you. Think about what you're doing when you respond. It's a little dopamine receptor. It's really easy to do. It takes 2 seconds. Yes?
If for a service-based business, if you know you're not going to do post on 20 different things every day, and you were going to just pick one, which would you pick?
So what's the service is the question.
Let's say lawyer, real estate broker, something like that.
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn?
Yeah. That would be the number one I would pick because then you're interacting with different professionals. So I know some lawyers that are on Instagram, but they don't sell their service, they sell their lifestyle. And that's a completely different ballgame. They're not selling, here I am in court today. They're like, look at me in my Ferrari. It's very, very different. And they are engaging with people in their comments, like, as bad as it is, like, you know, that like lifestyle of like, I've got 4 girls in my car, I'm driving this really expensive car, and I'm getting bottles tonight. Like, they're selling that. So it depends if you're wanting to sell the lifestyle or if you're wanting to sell like your actual service.
How do you think about changing people's behavior with marketing? Is that like too much of an uphill battle?
Yeah. You're never gonna, it's, what is it, the fable with the turtle and the scorpion. You're never gonna get it to change its ways. What you can do is encourage more people who think the way you do to interact with you, is what I like to think. You're never gonna change anyone's mind based on a 1-minute to 3-minute video. I mean, you might, but that shouldn't be the goal.
So you're trying to find your audience versus trying to convert people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's all about finding your demographic. It's defining your demographic and then finding them and interacting with them. All right. How to leverage platform-specific tools. Instagram, you're gonna use stories, polls, lives for real-time interaction. Facebook, you've got Facebook groups. You've got events and announcements for engagement. People, I still look at events on Facebook all the time. I find so much cool stuff on there. Utilize it. You've got Twitter. You've got, or X, I keep calling it Twitter, guys. Twitter spaces, polls, engaging threads. You can respond to celebrities. A lot of time they respond back. LinkedIn, publish articles, run polls, live sessions, company pages. You can create such a network on LinkedIn. TikTok lives, challenges, and duets. TikTok lives are where it's at. You can not only make a ton of money doing it, you can create such a huge audience. YouTube has its shorts now. That is, people are scrolling that. YouTube is great for creators. You can build great communities on there, live streams, and then you can also, their analytics are really, really great. So AI tools, you can obviously use ChatGPT later and Buffer for content creation and scheduling, and then Brand24, TubeBuddy, Trend Pop for social listening and performance tracking. And we're gonna get into analyzing and adapting feedback in a second. This is huge, especially for new brands. So if you are a new brand and you're trying to figure out what works, you need to know how to track your performance. So you're gonna use analytical tools, and if anybody wants this PowerPoint with all of these resources on it, I'm happy to send it out because I'm not gonna, we got like 10 minutes to go. I can send all of this out, but Google Analytics, you can track website traffic. You've got social media platforms like Instagram has great insights, and if you're not looking at those, you are potentially missing out on so much that can help you refine your business. Like with ads. So if I wasn't looking at the numbers, let's say I have a $2,000 ad budget, which isn't very much. Am I gonna put a little bit of money into every single video that I post? No. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna post videos, I'm gonna see which video is performing the best, and I'm gonna double down on that video and push ads there. So I'm utilizing my resources more effectively. And you can only do that if you know how to track your performance. So you're gonna learn from feedback. Surveys. Not enough people are using surveys, guys. Just get out there and do it. Google Forms, Typeform. You can monitor the comments and likes. And you know, it's not that crazy. You can just ask somebody, like, how do you feel about this in the comment section if they respond? Or let's say somebody does leave a negative comment and it's just feedback. You can ask, hey, what would I do to change this? All right. And then last, experiment. So you can try different video links, you can try infographics, carousels, memes, stories. Also, just question, this ends at 2:15, right, guys? Does anyone know? This one ends at 2:15, right, guys?
It's at 2:30.
Oh, then we're good. Okay, cool, because I have a little activity at the end. AI tools. Fun fact, you don't have to create everything yourself. There's so much that you can do with AI to make this easier for you. You can do the scripting. You can It can create, like, if I need a graphic created today, I can just go into ChatGPT, can you create me a graphic about about the 3 pillars of social media, and like, I wanted to spit out, it equals building a community. It will make that for me, and I can adjust it, and I can just toss it in here. Utilize the resources you have at hand. And most platforms now, for like a little fee, are giving you AI options, and it will do everything for you. Also, you just need to content test. If you're still figuring out what your brand looks like and what your consistent posting style is, try a few things out while you're figuring it out. There's nothing wrong with that. Until you're at the point of like a Nike or a well-recognized brand, that consistency can falter just a little bit. And then how to be the resource. Be a resource. Offer free tools, guides, and templates. I know somebody else in the marketing space who does free marketing guides. Like he you just, type into his Instagram, he's like, type in free and it'll email you a marketing guide. That's a resource. Do a lot of people know what to do with that marketing guide? Maybe not, but that also opens up the conversation for him to come in and make a sale. You're gonna create a safe space. You're gonna build a forum or group where people can share and support each other. Some of my favorite ones to do that again: Reddit, Discord, Twitter, LinkedIn. And then celebrate your milestones, because if people are supporting you this far, they want to see you grow, especially the people that start with you. So if you hit 10, 20, 30, 100,000 followers, you're allowed to be excited about that, and your community will be excited about that too if you've done a good job engaging with them. All right. Any questions about any of that? I know we kind of jumped in.
So when you say you pick your videos that are doing well to put your spend towards, when do you typically decide? Like, I guess it has to be within the first 24 hours or something like that?
You can do it within the first week, and then you can boost. Yeah, I've done that, and it works pretty well. Because
On LinkedIn?
on Instagram, usually. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, it works better there. Not LinkedIn so much. I personally don't boost on LinkedIn. I just try to engage as much as I can with people in similar fields.
It's expensive, isn't it?
Just a little bit.
LinkedIn's expensive?
That's what I heard.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, like the most expensive out of all the platforms, in my opinion. But also, when was the last time, who's been on LinkedIn in the last week? Anybody? It's I'm on LinkedIn a lot. I can't say I've ever really seen an ad on LinkedIn, or I stop to look at the ads. It's not like on Instagram if you're searching through stories and it hits you in the face. All right. All right. So we're gonna do a little case study. I'm gonna put you guys in my shoes, and there's no right or wrong answer. I'm just interested to see, with everything that we've talked about, what your guys' approach should be. So you're working with a nutrition brand that's looking to expand its online footprint. They're currently on IG and TikTok, but not garnishing a lot of attention on either platform. They're usually posting static photos and occasionally try to comment on posts, but they're still not growing. What would you recommend they do to increase their digital footprint?
Make reels.
Okay, so we've got make reels. Anybody else? Collaborate? How would they collaborate?
With the two things that I would do are the people that they do have as customers.
Yeah.
Ask for UGC.
Okay.
Post that and make content out of that as best as you can.
Yep.
Kind of gives other people to see that you already have customers.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of create some value for you. And the other ways to use some microinfluencers that already have reputations and audiences. And
Yeah.
those would be my two ways to fly.
There you go.
I think that they should, exactly what you said, if you already mentioned this, but find 2 or 3 other model brands that are in the same space that are similar and that are actually doing really well. And then try to maybe deconstruct or just analyze why their posts are doing well versus the ones that you've been putting out.
Right.
Because if you can do that, then obviously there's probably some key insight.
Okay.
I would test doing
Here we go with testing.
I forget the word, but comment this and you can win a free whatever.
Giveaways?
There you go. Giveaway.
There you go. Anybody else?
Or tag, whatever.
Anybody else?
One of the things that Jackson has mentioned in our sessions here is to do a podcast and invite people in the same field, in the same interests.
Yes.
Interview them, and then
Yep.
they'll do is they'll share your podcast with their folks because they're on.
Yep. I actually work with Jackson on podcasts, so I actually work with Jackson on podcasts. That's how I ended up here today.
Some free product, like you said, the tequila brand.
People love free product, guys. Who doesn't like free things? Like, it's such an easy way, but the thing is, that this is where I would come at this a little differently, right? One question nobody asked me is like, what's their brand positioning? Are they consistent? Are they not? Because if you're just posting static photos occasionally, you're not being consistent as a brand. So first you need to start posting consistently with a single brand voice. And maybe that fixes the problem, but they need to be commenting on, they need to be commenting frequently. They need to be engaging, on TikTok. Maybe they're creating more TikTok videos about not just the product, but the lifestyle. A lot of times that helps a lot. You don't want to just, you asked this a little while ago, Justin, right? Sometimes you just have to sell the lifestyle to sell the product. And that can go very, very far. Does anyone have anything else they want to add to this one?
Is the lifestyle thing better for service based on product,
It can depend. Like there's some products that, like tequila brand,
Oh, yeah.
that lifestyle, like you're popping bottles every weekend, those are the types of things you're posting. You create this really fun atmosphere. Yeah, of course that's going to sell the product really well. With some services, I've seen it work like with nail artists and lash techs. If they're like posting how they do the services and making like those aesthetic videos online, that gets them a lot of content. You really have to look at the business that you're using and doing, and you have to look at who is leading in that field and do the research. That's the best way to do it. All right, we're gonna start to close it off. So by focusing on engagement, value, and authenticity, businesses and individuals can build and sustain vibrant social media communities. This approach not only drives growth, but also creates a loyal and engaged audience that supports and advocates for your brand. So we've got a few minutes to do questions, if anybody has any.
How about podcasts? If someone says, come on my podcast, I don't think anyone's watching the podcast, but.
So actually Jackson is a great person to talk to about this because he was telling a story. He's like, I went on this podcast, it had maybe 2,000 views, but because he went on that podcast, he ended up touring Europe as a DJ before he was doing marketing. And 2,000 eyes, like if 2,000 people were in this room right now, we would have a problem, right? Sometimes we like to think that the small things that we're doing don't have a big impact, but they do. So every audience has value. And what are you losing just going by talking? I don't know about you guys, but I love to talk about myself. I think most people like to talk about yourself. You're flattering, and you're flattering somebody if you come, and you're like, oh, come on my podcast.
It's a long time ago, 2-3 years ago, you were on a podcast, and
Yeah.
so you didn't even know you were going to be on it, and it had, I don't know, 1 million views. And it's been 3-4 years, something like that. Is it too late, or is it still?
No, it's never too late.
Oh.
You can always resurface stuff. And I've definitely done that where I've cut old videos and I brought them back and been like, Throwback Thursday, do you remember when we did this? Or and sometimes people are like, if they've been with you for a long time, they're like, wow, I remember when you did that. That was so cool. And I see what you've done since then. And then you can engage with that person and your comments or your DMs, and that can also help foster your community. So don't knock things till you try them.
That's actually one of my friends uses that with LinkedIn. When I was at Zappos in 2010, and he'll just tell a story and maybe have a photo from that.
Right.
And then it's everyone who has a flashback to that time period is writing comments and liking, and it's just, it actually can be a huge approach.
Yes. like, why do 2000s and 90s parties do so well? Because it's like, it's exciting for everybody to like relive where they were at that point. Like, I love like pulling out like my like old clothes and like, okay, let's do this. Because that sense of nostalgia is something, if you can harness a sense of nostalgia through posting, you're gonna win like half the battle. I can tell you right now, because people are going to engage with that.
How do we learn more about your agency and what you do?
I have cards for you. Don't you worry if anybody wants one. Here, you can just pass the stack. And I'm always down for coffee and to like chat with like-minded individuals. You guys are always welcome to hit me up. Yes.
I guess one thing, like, you know, we've seen Jackson here, we've seen Gina, like other people. How would people like us consider engaging in a marketing agency? Like, what are the questions we should be asking them to know whether or not they're the right fit for us?
That's a great question. No, one of the things that I like to say is, are they taking the time to get to know you as a person before they take the time to know you as a brand? Because you're not just working with a brand, you're working with the people behind the brand. So if they're just like, okay, let's come in, get this work done, that always is a red flag to me, because I want people to know why I'm doing what I'm doing. I want them to know me. I put a lot of heart into my business. I'm sure everybody who has a business or job, like, you care about what you do and you want someone else to care about it at the same way. And you can't care about that without knowing the person behind it. So that would be my number one thing. But also, are they doing free consultations? Are they not doing free consultations? Some people really like people who do free consultations. Some people are the opposite. Personally, like, I am the type of person where I'm like, you know what, let's have a discovery. I'll take you to coffee. And then from there, like, I've said no to working with people before because I'm like, I don't think I'm the right fit for you. So people who are gonna be honest with you are gonna be honest with you from the start. So always just look out for that.
All right, so this is not exactly on that topic, because you mentioned sports betting. You're not the person who would be right
definitely
with that,
not.
but that made me think, because it's predominantly a male activity, sports betting. But let's just say you were a sports book and you wanted more females. Like, even if it's like, let's say only 10% of your audience are female, but you specifically wanted to bump that to 15%. Like, how, in a male-dominated business or vice versa, how would you approach it, trying to engage that?
And that is like a very sticky thing, because that one of the things that happens often in those things is women end up getting sexualized in those positions, which in turn turns women away. That's a great question. Gosh, I think partially what I would do is this in person or online?
Just like a larger, like, let's say it was MGM, and they wanted to do a full campaign. To try to you have to first hire more females, employees. You're going to bring in promoters. You're going to have them all doing an ad campaign online about why this is important to them. Maybe you have them talking about tips and tricks online rather than the men doing that. And you're flipping it. You're creating the trust and credibility in them through an online platform by adding value. Yeah.
Anybody else?
So basically you're saying give voice to that segment and more.
Yeah, if that's what's important to you as a business, that we want to push women, then what you need to do is stray away from the Hooters ads. You need to give women the platform to talk about it and why they're good at it, and you need to build the credibility. And then that will make other women, because there's so many women who are into sports, but maybe they just don't feel comfortable coming in or going to those establishments. So you're going to build the credibility and you're going to build a safe space. And you're going to start by doing that online.
Again, like, as some of us think about working with an agency, like, what are the common pricing models that we could expect to see to understand like what that engagement will be?
Okay, so there's some people that are going to they're going to try to go straight for the jugular, and they're going to go like 10, 15,000 a month. And you got to ask, like, I know people who charge that, and I quite literally don't know what they do for 10 to 15,000 a month. There's some people where I'm like, okay, like you're working with these really, really big companies and they're putting you on retainer for that. I think depending on what you're asking, like, are you asking them to do full social media? Are you asking them to do content creation? Are you asking them to create the brand? So I think it really depends on, like, I personally do a tiered pricing package where, okay, if you just want me to manage, maybe we'll start you like $1,500. If you want me to come in and create the content, that's a whole different ballgame. So I think depending on if you want full service, anywhere from like $1,500 to like $8,000 is pretty reasonable.
How much of that typically goes to ad spend?
That's generally just for the management company. Yeah. So then you're also having to come up with marketing budget. I know how we do it is we do, you know, like everything in-house, like scheduling, content creation. But marketing budget does come from the businesses. So if you're looking at working with an agency, I would definitely consider, maybe is right now the right time? Am I going to be spending more on the agency than I am able to put behind my content creation itself? Because you can always just hire videographers to come in and create the content and utilize AI to schedule and do all of that for you until you're at a point where, okay, maybe I have $10,000 a month extra, I can pay them like maybe $4,000, and then I have $6,000 a month marketing budget, and I'm comfortable there. Because one without the other isn't really adding you a lot of value.
Okay, and then what would be like for a small brand, what would be like a good return on ad spend number?
What kind of brand? Is it like a clothing brand or a?
Like a coaching business.
Okay, a coaching business. Okay, so this is very controversial, and Jackson and I were actually literally laughing about this yesterday. I was like, I actually really don't like ads. I'll boost certain things because here's the thing, majority of the time the people that you're looking to target aren't scrolling. So what kind of coaching?
Software engineer coaching.
Okay, so majority of the time the people who are in software engineering, can you imagine that they're spending like tons and tons of time scrolling on their phones? Or do you think that they're maybe in school or have activities? Like, is that the type of demographic that is spending a lot of time on social media? Maybe not. Maybe LinkedIn ads might be a really great way for you to go. Maybe it is a little bit more expensive, but yeah, it's just like I have people all the time who come in, they're like, can you make me go viral and can you put like $10,000 into ads? I'm like, I could, but I don't think you want me to do that because then you're not going to show results. Like, I think ads work really well. Sometimes with service-based businesses, I used to do a tanning salon. So I used to figure out when all of the proms were in the area, and I used to get a coupon, and I used to just drop it right on top of every high school a week before prom. You bet every single week that line was at the door. In that instance, ads are working great. But if you're looking to expand a coaching business, I don't know if that's the right way to go. That's just my personal opinion. Somebody might have a different one though.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that kind of to your point, so one of the things that I think has changed in the last 5 years is TikTok uses AI to figure out who likes what. And so without having to spend money on ads, they're already targeting their audience. Like if you're creating high quality content, then in theory at least, I don't know, there's probably some leeway there, but you should be sending your content to the people that would connect with it, which is great because then you can have, you don't need, 300,000 followers to get, 1,000 leads anymore. You could literally just have 2,000 followers and get 1,000 leads.
Yeah, followers and views don't equal sales.
So what's your general advice for like when you're a real person and you have like a following on a platform? So like I'm technically a microinfluencer on LinkedIn, but then you start a new company. So obviously the company page is like nothing.
Yeah.
And when you post on under the company, like nothing happens. But then when you post about the company for a personal thing, you get a bunch of reactions and stuff. So it's almost like there's no point in building the company's profile because like I'm one of the co-founders and I'm associated with the company. Like, at what point would you argue for like, hey, you have to build the company's page?
Right. I think the best thing you could do, and you're looking to do this on LinkedIn.
I'm mostly on LinkedIn right now.
Yeah, so I think what I would do is don't even worry about the following. Just post engaging content on there. So if someone was to go look it up, at least it's there and you've got relevant information and you've got a digital footprint. But I wouldn't worry too much about building the page itself as long as you're still associated with it and you've got the credibility.
Okay, cool. And you see that like same thing on like Instagram and stuff?
Yeah,
A lot
exactly.
of these companies, it's just a personal post.
Yeah, like what am I gonna post? Like I've got a marketing Instagram, but like what am I gonna post on there? Like I'll post this, but like.
That's what you do too, like you'll use your personal account.
Yeah, I use my personal accounts.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but that works for me.
Yeah.
So I guess like on that same thing, right? I collaborate on like my business and personal Instagram, so I kind of get the like business page going. But on LinkedIn, you have to only run ads through the business.
Yeah.
And so I think that's been like one of my challenges where it's like the business profile doesn't have a following, but I have a bigger following on my personal, and I do want to like reach more people. Just like again, like who engages like will determine how many people see, and so like trying to find ways to like
build that page. Right. So maybe continuing to like maybe you're posting the same thing. And then again, you want it to look like your page is full and so it's not a bot running it, right? Go start engaging. It's gonna be kind of a pain in the butt to do it first, but you have to go engage with people like crazy. You should be commenting on things, reposting people's articles, messaging them like, wow, that was great insight. You need to be having the conversations with people as the company account.
Oh, I always find that really crazy.
I know, it is, but it's probably the only way you can build it. It's like, it is kind of cringy, but it's also like, what's the, like, either that or you're not gonna be able to run ads through it. I mean, it's another thing for coaching. What you could do is you could go to TikTok and create like short, like, let's say I was to do this and I wanted to talk about my 3 pillars of building a community. You could create like videos that are like almost just you talking about what you do or like little tips and tricks. And then at the end, if you can just kind of cut it off and be like, if you're interested in learning more, go to the link in my bio, something like that.
Actually, I have an idea too for this. This is mostly, I would say, a Twitter approach, but it would be like, okay, I'm giving away, let's say, like one ETH to a lucky follower. You have to be following me. It's like a 1, 2, 3 thing. You got to follow me, like the tweet, and retweet it, and then I will pick someone in the next 24 hours. So you could maybe try that. You have to follow my company page. You have to like this post and whatever, and then you do a giveaway, like 1 free hour of consulting or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's a great method. That's a great method. All right, guys, we are just at time. If you guys need to talk, I'm still around for a minute. I'm happy to have more conversations. It was great to meet all of you. Thank you for joining today, and I hope to see you guys soon.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for being interactive, because I'm telling you, I will call you out. All right.